My boyfriend thought I was just a nerd. When he was drunk, he complained to his friends. Does it matter if she has good grades? Her family's broke. You know, I could slap a wad of cash in her face, and she'd come crawling like a dog. However, I later ended up crying and sitting on a certain someone's lap. He kissed me from behind my ear down to my neck and chuckled softly. A nerd? Does he even know that you're actually the daughter of the city's biggest real estate tycoon? It was early in the evening when it was our group's turn for cleanup duty. I carried a large black trash bag and tossed out the garbage. When I returned, I saw my boyfriend making out with my best friend. He lifted her chin playfully, and she wrapped her arms around his neck. I clenched my jaw as I stood there silently and listened to their conversation. When are you going to break up with her? My best friend of 10 years was toying with my boyfriend's collar and urging him to dump me. I stood outside the window and watched them with a blank expression. I could hardly remember when it all started. At some point, we started walking home as a trio, me, my boyfriend, Ethan Scott, and my best friend, Claire Reed. I lowered my head and stared at my shadow, which was stretched long by the setting sun. Meanwhile, the two shadows beside me were nearly merging into one. By the school gate, the honor roll displayed the latest test results. Once again, my name was at the top. Sophie, you're amazing. First place every time. Claire clung to my arm and grinned as she showered me with compliments. Ethan simply snorted. What's the point of good grades? She's still from a poor. He did not finish his sentence because Claire smacked his arm. How could you say that? You know her family isn't well off. She has nothing but her grades to rely on. Despite what she said, her hand continued to rest on Ethan's arm. Her eyes were filled with feigned sympathy as she stared at me. Sophie, we're going to GNR tonight, but you'll probably be too busy studying, right? I did not know how to respond to that. GNR was a club. Rich kids like Ethan with guaranteed study abroad plans had zero interest in school. They spent their Fridays there partying. For Claire to ask me that, she was already certain I would not come along. Besides, Ethan's little motorcycle only had room for one passenger. I nodded. Sure enough, Claire hopped onto the back of his motorcycle, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then, I watched as they sped off together. They just left me behind without a second thought. The setting sun soon dipped below the city's edge. I crouched on the ground and mindlessly fiddled with my fingers. I kept at it until I nearly dislocated my pinky. That was when I heard the distant roar of a motorcycle. I knew exactly who it was. That reckless and bold sound could only be from him, though I did not want to look up. A motorcycle that was easily 100 times sleeker than Ethan stopped in front of me. The first thing I saw was a pair of black, knee-high Martin boots. Then, the person ruffled my hair. His touch was firm but not rough. Only then did I look up. I had to be honest. Ryan Carter's eyes were 100 times prettier than Ethan's too. The streetlights flickered as Ryan looked down at me with his hands in his pockets. Why are you crouching here? Act civilized, will you? I held back the urge to swing my backpack at him. His voice was deep and pleasant. Yet, he just had to say something mean. I had been squatting for too long. When I tried to stand, my legs felt numb. As a result, I lost my balance and fell straight into his arms. The zipper on his jacket scraped against my right cheek. I hissed in pain, but for some reason, I did not feel like steadying myself. He just held me too. It's been a long time since we last met. Are you throwing yourself at me now? Ryan's breath tickled my ear, and I lightly pinched his waist in response. Honestly, even that felt better than Ethan's. I had not expected Ryan to take me to GNR when he said that he would show me a good time. This place was inconvenient. After all, this was where my wonderful boyfriend and dear best friend had planned to party tonight. I tugged at Ryan's sleeve. Let's go somewhere else. It's too loud. However, he would not be Ryan Carter if he listened to me. You can go home on your own. The dim lights cast an illusion of intimacy. He reached out and gently pinched my earlobe. Besides, it's quiet in the private rooms. Who said private rooms were quiet? All that shouting inside nearly shattered my eardrums. I got up and stepped into the hallway for some air. Even though it was the middle of summer, the air conditioning inside was cranked up way too high. I was not planning to stop until I passed one of the rooms. My boyfriend's voice was just too recognizable. Hey, Ethan, why didn't you bring